All right, ladies and gentlemen, good Wednesday morning. Welcome to our final day of our 2025 kickoff week, or whatever you want to call it, update week, updating my 2025 outlook. Real quick admin reminder, Susie and I are heading to San Antonio next Tuesday for our son's graduation from Air Force Basic Training. So we're going to do a joint brief on Monday, and then I'll be setting trades out the rest of the week. So no briefs Tuesday or Wednesday, because we'll be in San Antonio for graduation and parades and stuff like that. Okay. Hey, before I start, you ready for this? How many of you are upset? You know, it was a coin flip. I'm like, when I teach these guys to dogfight the S&P 500, which one should I do first? And I'm like, I'll do the bearish one. Never mind. There won't be briefs because it is Martin Luther King Day. So I'll just be sending my trade alerts out via the app and email. Maybe I'll do a trade video or something like that from the hotel. Thanks for the mutual support. How many of you are, if you got the bearish double vertical on yesterday on the S&P 500, how many of you are upset or you can't believe it's quote losing money today? Let me get a show of hands. Who's like, oh my God, this is awful? I won't say any names. Mitch, well, Mitch gets a gold star. Mitch closed it for a profit yesterday, so nice job, Mitch. John, nope, may put more on. That's the right answer, John. Kevin, it's on, not upset. Yep. Frank, it's only Wednesday. Gary, I added to it. So, folks, if you're checking us out, all those current and hold on, let me just, men lie, comments don't. I'm going to show you the comment thread because look at these people. Look at these people. These are current members and they know exactly what I'm about to say. So let's look at that. There we go. Scott, it's too early to worry. Gary, I added. Rick said nervous. David, you can't see the chat because we're in GoToWebinar and you can't see each other's chat. Only in our member briefs and GoToTraining can you see our chat. Not upset, it's just a bit underwater. Awesome. So only one person said nervous. All of my other current members are smart. They absolutely know what's going on. Are you absolutely shitting me, folks, that this market is going to celebrate 2.9% inflation? It came in line. What's in line? Up. So this initial reaction, folks, look, let's just look at the picture. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inflation is going up. It came in line. Yay, let's buy the market. Are you people high? The other reason we put that bearish double vertical in is what? A Fed meeting. Are you telling me that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever Jerome Powell's going to go, inflation's great, we're going to probably keep cutting? Oh, and by the way, we had blowout job numbers last week. Did you listen? We'll get into Jamie Dimon and Goldman Sachs earnings. Did you hear the earnings call with Jamie Dimon? We are potentially did you see JP Morgan? Disgusting earnings. What happened to the stock? Boop. Why? I told you that I'm awesome at this. I told you earlier in the week, earnings are what? 2080. 20% of JP Morgan's earnings call was what? Dude, we crushed it. What did the stock do? Whoosh. Then Jamie Dimon said what this morning? I think we're heading into the worst possible case scenario. Stagflation. I mean, you got inflation going up. The job's looking good. It sounds like he was in our brief earlier this week. He's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Things ain't looking too good. That's all the market's going to care about. They don't care about how Jamie said they did last quarter. They did for 20 minutes. For the next 80 minutes, they listen to Jamie Dimon talk about stagflation. Okay, so I love my TGO members because they're using their brains. You don't think tactically, folks. You think strategically, or as George Bush would say, strategery, right? So we're going to dig in all this stuff, but I want to lead with this. This is absolutely sell into this pop, period. Now, I love the guys. A couple people in here said they took profits yesterday. I think it was up 30, 40%. Mitch, what you get out of it? That bearish double vertical was up 30, 40% yesterday. You could have taken a profit on that. And then what did the Wiz Fighter do yesterday? I sold as the market went up. Right here, S&P 500. I sold a day bear call spread as the market went up, and I got out for a 95% profit. I think that was what, like 20 minutes, however minutes later. Let's go look at the S&P 500. My point is, folks, do not, I'd sell into this pop. The market is not going to celebrate this, I guarantee you. So this is what I did yesterday. We did a bearish double vertical right here in the brief, and the market imploded. Mitch and some people got out at 40% or whatever. Good job. Then that happened. What did I do? I sold a bear call spread up here for the day and got out at 95% profit. This is discipline, risk management, and superior execution. We rock. Okay? But I'm going to dig into this, folks. There is no way in hell. Yeah, exactly, Karen. We'll talk about that in a second. There's no way in hell that Jerome Powell in a couple of weeks is going to be like, wow, man, we beat inflation. This is bad. In line was a relief, right? Other than that, Mrs. Kennedy, how was the parade? It came in line up to 2.9. We're almost at 3. So again, I've been doing this for over 3 decades. I get initial market reactions. I've been on the floor. I've been in my trading firm, folks. This ain't good. It's actually pretty shitty. All right, but let me get back to here real quick, because my marketing people reminded me that I didn't tell you how many slots. We're done with the 50 slots a quarter. I'm starting to make TGO smaller and more elite. I don't have time for 90,000 people asking basic questions and stuff. So only 25 a quarter in our full throttle program. And however, yeah, we're down to 11 as of me jumping on this morning. We got 11 full throttle slots left as of this morning. And we close the door. I'll see you next quarter. Solo Amazon's open. That's the gateway drug. I don't mind having a lot of people in there because it's the Battle of Britain. Full throttle, I care. We keep it nice and tight and disciplined. So $97 a month, you get what you pay for. We're trading one stock. It's a gateway drug. It's kind of the training service, and then full throttle is where you really get airborne. More elite, more focused, and you're going to get access to potential other investments. So I had a great call with Cody yesterday. All the current HRT investors block out, what do you say, July? I have it on my calendar. July of 26. July 6th to the 17th. The attorneys are tentatively working on going public, being on the floor of wherever we're going public and ringing the bell. Why do I bring that up? Because first of all, we might open up the door because a lot of people are upset that they didn't get in to the first round or the second round. And I talked to Cody yesterday because who was it? Somebody reached out. They're like, dude, we'll talk about this next week. What am I rambling about? You get access as a hunter and a lifetime member to other potential investments. Healing Realty Trust, Experience Onward, the clinic in Oregon, Microdoses, the Maverick Mine product. We got good shit going on here. Okay, we knocked out our big brief this week, man. The only thing left is to talk about, I want to talk a little bit more about defense stocks today and also psychedelics, obviously. But we're also going to hit Goldman Sachs and the financials a little bit more. I didn't yet. I told you on Monday, though, in the Welcome Aboard brief, what did I say? Goldman Sachs is the Death Star in the financial space. Buy it with both hands. I did say that, and look at Goldman Sachs today, up 5%. You're welcome. If you bought Goldman Sachs when I told you on Monday, you're printing money. Let me laugh real quick about the Pete Hegseth hearing. Did everybody watch that? It was without a doubt one of the funniest. It shouldn't have been funny. Liberal white women are a caricature of themselves. They're no offense. We have a Karen here, and she's not a Karen. That was a disgrace. I loved the meme yesterday of Pete Hegseth in the middle, just looking like this, and it had all four of those senators just squawking at him. He was like, in the middle of the view or something like that. It was awful. He held his ground. He gave some punches. He took a couple, but he will be confirmed. He can only lose like 3 or 4 senators. He got the military lady yesterday. What was wrong with him? What was wrong with the position of, I don't have a problem with women in combat. I've never had a problem with women in combat. If you can meet the standards. No, we lower those. Then I have a problem. You know when that started for me? In 1991 at the famous obstacle course at Naval Air Station, Pensacola. You run in twos. I was paired up with a gal. She ran up to the big wall, the famous wall with the rope on it. She touched the rope and ran around it. I got to the end almost dying and vomiting. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And the drill instructor's like, nope, that's the new directive. Women don't have to do that wall. They can just touch the rope and run around. She ended up being a great helicopter pilot. We were friends and everything like that, but that's bullshit. Why did that happen? Because months before, a year before, that was the tailhook convention. So I ain't got no problem with females or anybody flying or doing combat. If you can't meet the standards, you shouldn't be doing it. That's it. God, the universe, source, whatever word you want to choose, is demonstrating this now. That granny in charge of the New Orleans Police Department, did you see that lady? If I see a chief of police who I know I could disarm and beat to death with their own weapon in a couple seconds, you shouldn't be the chief of police. And then the DEI firefighters, the one lady couldn't, in her full turnout gear, couldn't pick me up and carry me 10 feet. I guarantee you. DEI gets people DIE. So yesterday was awesome. Exactly. Arrow's a badass Strike Eagle pilot. She can do it. She meets the standards. Whenever we lower standards, boom, she probably exceeded the standards. She probably did better than me in flight school. So meet the standards. I got no problem with it. I got my ass kicked by some awesome female Hornet pilots. Never an Eagle pilot though, Arrow. So sorry about that. All right, here we go. Enough of the ranting. So this is a study of markets. I love bringing this chart up every once in a while because of this. Where do you think we are, right? So, especially today, you might throw out something like this, but we've been doing a lot for the past 2 years, 3-4 years. You've heard what? Economy's great. We beat inflation. You caused 9.1% inflation. Yeah, but we beat it. What? No, you didn't. It's actually raging again. It's going back up. If you're Jerome Powell at the Fed this morning, are you celebrating? Actually, they don't look at the stock market, Wiz. Okay. This is not the reaction they want. I guarantee you. So if this market is going to do something like this, I guarantee you he's going to bring even more heat in that Fed meeting, right? A famous Fed chief before him, his name's Alan Greenspan. Irrational exuberism, right? I'm telling you, folks, I've been doing this for, I'm sorry. I got airborne with my brief. I thought I put it in there. Here's the link. Oh, and I didn't. Yeah. Let me throttle back here. I'm just excited with this stuff because I know that we have a lot to talk about in Target because there's going to be a lot of instruction this morning. Yeah, I'll do that. I've been saving it to the end for the past 2 days, and I should have led with all this stuff. Real quick, let me give you my pitch, and then we have a lot of work to do. What do you need to trade successfully? Well, you need 3 things. I guarantee you, I've been doing it for 34 years. I know the 3 things you need. You need to be trained. Fighter pilots are trained, doctors are trained, plumbers are trained. You need to be trained, not educated, folks. The world is full of educated derelicts. Look at Harvard and Yale. Look at how many stupid people teach and go to those places. Education means nothing to me. You need to be trained. I'll train you in what we call options weapons school. That's where you're going to get your training, okay? Next, you need a plan, baby. Trading is a form of combat. If you go into combat without a plan, you deserve to die. If you go into trading without a plan, you deserve to lose every penny, right? So, strategy, tactics, managing risk, contingency planning. debriefing when something goes wrong or right, and getting lessons learned to improve your trading. We have a trade plan. I'll give it to you. And you need to practically apply your training with your plan. You need actionable trade ideas. That's what we're doing in our live trade briefs. We've been practically applying what you should have learned in your options weapons school, right? You know, when we did synthetic stock the other day, it took me, what, 10 minutes to do it? You get an hour to an hour and a half lecture on how to do synthetic stock, right? In the trade briefs, which have gone long all week, I ripple through stuff, man, because you should know what you're doing. I'm not stopping to explain for an hour synthetic stock to you. You need to go watch the training, right? Arrow will tell you, or any other, or Kid, any of the fighter pilots in this room will tell you what. You got to go to the schoolhouse, man. It's called turning boxes green. I remember sitting there in the Hornet building on my computer doing my CBTs, computer-based training. Man, I burned the midnight oil. You need to do that. You're not going to be some fat walrus sitting on the end of a pier and me throwing fish in your mouth. I'm going to teach you how to fish. Don't sit there with your mouth open. How do you know what I need to trade successfully, Wiz? I've been you, man. Before Al Gore invented the internet, I used to drive to the base library and check out books on options trading and stocks. And then I had now what moments. I read all this crap. I'm like, how do I apply this in the market? I don't have anybody. So I made TOPGUN Options for a guy like me, right? I rose from being a self-taught retail trader to being a managing director of a multi-billion-dollar Wall Street firm. I think it's probably quadrupled in size since I've left. When I showed up, we about 150 million bucks, just under 100 employees. I think literally 99. When I left, we had over 600, and we were about 2.5 to 3 billion company. So here's what our landscape looks like. On the left side of this fence, you should have a virtual account, either virtual, paper trading, whatever your broker calls it. Go get 100 grand in Monopoly money. It's the simulator building. Kid, Arrow, Wiz, we didn't do our computer-based training and then run out to the Eagle or the Hornet. We would have died. You went to the simulator building, engine fire, starts, landing on the boat, dropping bombs. So in our training environment, we have solo Amazon. We did that Monday. It's 97 bucks a month. If you don't have 97 bucks a month, you shouldn't be trading. That's our gateway drug. Or you got full throttle, right? On the right side of the fence, when you're ready to practically apply and put some real capital at risk, what do we have? Investment clubs. We got the Hunters, which you can get access to today, and then Max Afterburner. It's lifetime. That's further down the road. It's a more significant investment. Okay, let's just break down, the training side real quick. Solo Amazon, 97 bucks a month or 970 a year. You get a nice discount. And full throttle, we get our 6 options weapon school training sessions and our live trade briefs. You also get those 3 skill-based manuals, okay? This is the training environment. So options weapon school, 6 briefs, man. Wiz, I don't know what an option is. I don't know what your trade plan is. I don't know anything. Guess what? This is where you're going to learn it. We take a building block approach. This is the market. These are stocks. These are calls. These are puts. This is a covered call. This is a bull put spread. This is a burner trade. This is synthetic stock. When you join, you get access to an OPCL, an options pocket checklist, just like a PCL that we carried in the fighter jet. It was the big manual squeezed into everything you needed to know in that much. That's what the options pocket checklist is. In the OPCL, there's 32 options tactics. You know how many I trade? 7, maybe, if that. For all the people trying to impress you at an options cocktail party, I can do a reverse calendar split with a reverse credit spread, broken wing butterfly. What? Oh, you mean this that I can do as a basic tactic? Well, yeah, but I use 90,000 legs. Knock yourself out. So I don't do that. You can go learn all these super crazy tactics, and I can show you in less time how to do it with something basic, okay? So Options Weapon School is a beautiful program. This is what the flight schedule looks like each week. Solo Amazon every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern, primary live trade brief. We did it yesterday, 10 a.m. And then AR, accelerated retirement. It's today. Longer dated trades, a little bit more conservative, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes. Solo Amazon is not included in full throttle. It's its own standalone service, right? Any questions with that? Okay, We laugh. The hedge fund index, I haven't updated this since our last full throttle, so forgive me, this is a little off, but don't sit there and go, I need to be in a hedge fund. A hedge fund doesn't make money, folks. By definition, a hedge fund is supposed to what? Make money in any market condition, up, down, sideways. So it's slow and steady wins the race. 9% in 23, folks. The year before that, they got hammered. Look at the average hedge fund return. That was 2023. Look at my 2023 performance. I did 225% in 2024. I have to update these slides. But look at this. This was my individual brokerage account for 23. The S&P did 20%, the NASDAQ 38, the Dow did 10. And when did my portfolio really start outperforming everybody else and the indices? When the volatility shit show started. I told you I prefer a down market. I prefer blood in the streets, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't this awesome? So, and I didn't update these either. These are all from last year. So, what was it, 850 or something like that we did last year? Just under $1 million return across our model portfolios. So anyway, enough with the sales stuff. I usually do this at the end, but my marketing people are like, dude, you got to lead with it. So there you go. Let me give you the solo Amazon one real quick too. It's $97 a month, $970 for a year. It's $97 a month for the rest of your life. Doesn't go up mysteriously in a month or two. It's $97 for the rest of your life. That's why it's stupid to stay in there at $97 for the rest of your life when you can do the annual for $970. Do it for a couple months. Shoot us an email. I'm ready. You're not a complete closet case. Let's go ahead and upgrade into the annual. There you go. Now, the full throttle, folks, let me remind you, because there were some questions on it yesterday. This is the best deal. You save 50% off of this one over here. It's $29.95 for a year. If you did 15 contracts on the bear call spread that I did yesterday, which I usually do, that was a $2,100 profit in a couple hours yesterday. If you did the no more than $5,000 risk on where Mitch and some others exited yesterday, that was probably close to about $2,800 profit in the bearish double vertical yesterday. 2 trades on the S&P 500 yesterday could have made you $5-6 grand. Potentially paid in one day yesterday for your annual membership. It doesn't, that's math, and you saw it yesterday. If you weren't in the hunters or the afterburner, you didn't get the bear call spread because that was for my members. So you got to join. So this is where 80-90% of TGO members currently are. It's $29.95 a year. You know what, Wiz? I want access to all the full throttle stuff and that investment club, the hunters, with your app, where I get all the instant alerts. This is the month-to-month hunters where you can check it out. 2-3 months, check everything out, then go over and upgrade into here, man. I'd start in here, but that's just me personally. We came up with this one, the monthly hunters, because people are like, can I get access to that hunters and do all the full throttle stuff just to check things out? Yeah, it's this. Or, dude, I'm ready to go. This is day 3. I like what you do, and I'm in. This is full throttle, but without the hunters. You don't get access to that investment group. You get access to all the briefs and the manuals and options weapons school. This is the gateway drug to full throttle, just like solo Amazon's a gateway drug. This is the $295 gateway drug to the full throttle program. Do this for a couple months and then upgrade into the annual, or go check out the hunters. Okay. Any questions on that? That's it. If there is, save it to the end, please, because I got a lot of shit to do. Can't go super long either. Any questions on that? Okay, Sam, Wiz, let us get to the trade. Hey, Sam, if I gotta pay my bills, dude. You're welcome for being here for free. Maybe I'll start charging. All right, let's laugh at this real quick. Newsom has a permitting epiphany. Did you see? He's an awful human being. Well, I took my pen out and signed an executive order to cut a lot of red tape so people can rebuild. Oh. So you're publicly admitting that your state is an absolute regulatory shithole. It's a nightmare to do anything in California. Gavin, this isn't the flex that you think it is. Look at me taking a pen. Oh, so with the stroke of a pen, you can make life easier for Californians, but it takes a disaster. I can't stand shit like this. Don't take credit for something that sucks. What did I tell you earlier in the week? Now we're doing our strategic part of the brief. Built extremely quickly. New China picks making experts sweat. What is making experts sweat? You know, I told you the other day that I don't think it would be a Sands of Iwo Jima invasion of Taiwan from China. Guys storming the beaches. I think it would probably be a blockade and just strangle Taiwan. Well, looks like they're also doing the exact opposite of what I think. They're at least looking like, you ready? Satellite photos have revealed the construction of a new fleet of D-Day style landing barges. Oh boy. So, this is really interesting. Kind of like we had the Mulberry Harbors for the Allied invasion of Normandy. Boom. They are building a massive amphibious rally. Okay? A massive amphibious force. Oh boy. I will remind you one more time, show that, Sam, we should have this rally continue. I will take the other side of that trade. This rally will not continue. I will sell into it, but let me, Sam, take a break, man. Strategic, operational, tactical. We will get to trading. You need a lot more discipline, my friend. SOT, strategic. I'm talking strategic right now. Then we're going to get operational and talk about the inflation report, the Fed, earnings, and then we will trade. We will get tactical. So I told you earlier in the week, Xi Jinping has told the world, well, he told his generals first and then gave a speech to the world, you will be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. If you want to make command and not get executed in the Chinese army or navy, what do? You're probably prepared earlier. Does anybody know what's going to happen to world markets when, not if, China does something, whether a full-scale invasion or a strangulation? We've already, Mumbles McShitty Pants Biden has already said, well, if they invaded Taiwan, we'd hit them with the most crippling sanctions in the planet. Oh boy. This ain't civil war in Eastern Europe, folks. This ain't Russia and Ukraine going at it. Ukraine, God bless the people, has grain. It makes cereal, folks. It ain't Taiwan. World semiconductors, precious metals and shit like that. This will be absolutely market moving. Now, this shouldn't be a shock to us, right? You shouldn't wake up one day and come into a trade brief like, holy shit, they just invaded China. When you move lots of equipment and airplanes and ships, we know it. But how many times, folks, this happened 4 or 5 months ago, that they did their largest exercise ever. They encircled Taiwan like cowboys and Indians, man. They squeeze the island. And how do you know the next one isn't going to be, you know what, this one, let's start lightening it up here. Okay. So, all right. Now let's get, operational here. The stock market is letting the bond market do the dirty work to force the Fed to intervene. Intervention is coming sometime in 2025. The only questions are when, how, and what they will name it this time. Wow. Now, this was a tweet yesterday. I love Sven, the Northman trader. He's a smart dude. What a difference a day makes, right? This is completely wrong. No, it's not. We might have a 2% rally in the S&P or whatever right now, folks. It's a day. Things don't change that radically in a day. And one more time, I'm going to beat you with this. The market is not going to celebrate 2.9% inflation. It's gone up 4 months in a row. So back to this tweet. This guy's actually suggesting, so with inflation going up and a brutal jobs number in a good way a week ago, the Fed is in the worst possible situation. Listen, after my brief, to Jamie Dimon's earnings call this morning. I listened to it. I was like, holy shit, 80-20. We had great earnings. Things are going to suck. The Fed's in a tough place. This is about to get sporty. What Sven is saying, with the Fed in an impossible situation that they created, they're going to have to do whatever they're going to call it this time. QE1, QE2, QE3, TARP, QE infinity. What else were some of the names? Did I get them all? He is predicting, I don't know about this, man. He is predicting that Jerome's going to have to jump in with some sort of relief package. Twist? Yeah, right? Something like that. Mark, unbelievable. So I'm warning you folks, don't sit here and stare at an S&P up 1.76% and go, the all clear is sounded. First of all, let's go look at the SPX. Let me just draw our quick lines here. There's 5850, and there's our triangle. If anything, look at this. We just bounced up to what? What's that called? The hypotenuse? I don't know. I sucked at geometry. So look at these. Implosion bounce, implosion bounce, implosion bounce. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or Friday, the market is right now, it's a short squeeze, and dudes and ladies are starting to get involved like, holy shit, man, that inflation's raging. And the jobs numbers raging? That ain't bullish, folks. I'm here to tell you, but you can believe whatever you want. The stock market is, all right, so let's keep going here. Here it is. Look at the headline. Let's just read it together. Inflation ticks up, but underlying price gains are muted. That's what the market's celebrating. Price gains, prices still went up, but they weren't insane. Oh my God, dude, we're burning to death. We're suffering under inflation. Gas prices rose sharply. Ladies and gentlemen, that sucks. Thank God almost every day, man. Whenever I have to unfortunately venture out of my castle and jump on I-95, especially if it's morning or afternoon, I'm like, oh my God, I want to die. People do this every day. This is a parking lot. Gas prices soaring hits people in the jimmy. But look at the after the comma, let's read this together. But investors honed in on a small decline in core CPI. What? So look at this, folks. You're telling me, look at the purple or whatever that is, blue line. Look at overall inflation, the gray. I would have switched the colors here. But this is it's not good. Look at this headline. Consumer prices soared over 21% under Biden. After rising for 5 straight months. Let that sink in. Wiz, you're wrong. The market's going to rip higher. Okay, dude. You buy this market right now with both hands. Do it. I'll sell it to you. After 5 straight months, analysts expected headline CPI to continue accelerating in December, and it did exactly that. This is the highest month-over-month print since March, folks. Now, you can dig into the food, the energy, and all sorts of stuff like that. This is obscene. Does anybody think that Joe Biden with the jobs number last week was what? Him and Sideshow Bob, the press secretary, were like, clearly we're leaving the best economy ever in the history of economies to Donald Trump. Anybody expect a press conference today or Joe Biden to talk about inflation at 2.9%? Anybody? It's not going to happen. This is bad news. Trust me. So investors hope, we already talked about this, earnings season can revive faltering stock rally. Let's go look real quick. See what JP Morgan, I was looking at JP Morgan earlier. Yeah, good. Look at this, it gapped up, it imploded, and then went up again. It's going to come back down. but a full percent for JP Morgan, and then Goldman Sachs. Love me some Goldman Sachs, 6% pop. Let's look at a 3-month chart of Goldman. Wow, back to the top of this range. I'd sell into this up here too. We'll get tactical in a couple minutes. Earnings, ladies and gentlemen, is a crowd activity. Usually, and it didn't happen this time, folks. Usually, and I already told you, you should 2 to 3 weeks before financial earnings have a calendar reminder, just like I told you for Amazon. One more time, I'm going to remind you. Mid-November, stop right now listening to me. Mid-November on your cell phone, I don't know, November 15th, buy Amazon, and you will make money on the Santa Claus rally. I guarantee it. I think out of 34 years of doing this, 33 years that's happened. I think the only time it didn't happen was 2018 when Jerome Powell, I think we're going to need to raise interest rates. He said that at the beginning of October, and the market went down 20% to my birthday on New Year's Eve. Okay. Now, 2 to 3 months every quarter before financial earnings, you should at least look at buying them. This didn't happen this year. Let's overlay all these names real quick. Compare JPM and Morgan Stanley. Compare Morgan Stanley. Yep. What did I tell you? SPX is starting to do its rollover here. Look at the financials. Look at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. None of them went up into earnings. None of them. Which tells us something, okay? Let's get back to the mob mentality. I lived this, folks. I lived it in my retail trading and at Peak 6 Investments in Chicago. It's over with. Financial earnings are behind us. Well, at least JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. I have Bank of America. I have a long-term synthetic stock on Bank of America, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'm getting at. Once financial earnings are over with, nobody cares. Where do they go to next? This is called rotation. They're going to go over to, say it with me, tech. Amazon, Microsoft, right? Google, Meta. It's a crowd. Yay, over to here. All right, tech's over with. Oh, over to the services, right? Paul, 200% profit in Goldman Sachs this morning. My man. So, but let's keep going here. Investors hope earnings season can revive faltering stock rally. Will it? I don't know. The financial earnings, solid start. But remember, we haven't heard from a Wells Fargo's like your mom and pop bank. That's on the corner. Bank of America, long-term bullish synthetic stock for the whiz fighter and some of you in Bank of America. Those are apple pie. I don't care more about the mom and pop ones. They give me indications into the economy. I love my Goldman, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan because they're the blue bloods. I've seen Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan printing money as well as Fargo and Bank of America are getting destroyed. Why? Like in a bear market, those three institutions trade the shit out of it. It's called FIC, fixed income, currency, and commodity divisions. That's what they do inside their Death Stars. Whereas Wells Fargo's getting kicked in the jimmy with loans and mortgages and car payments and stuff. So we'll see how when's Bank of America? I have a position. Let me go look. BAC. The quote, I should know this. Tomorrow. Okay. BMO before market open. Sweet. I need to go after this. I won't take time with Bank of America with you guys. Okay, so let's just review some of the stuff we did, and then we're going to get tactical. Fed minutes suggest officials will hold rates steady. When did those Fed minutes come out? Right here. When did Jerome Powell cut, hawkish cut, and say you're probably not going to get any more? Here. So this was a Jerome Powell, this was a Fed minute. But you're going to tell me today, 2.9% inflation, that's great news for Jerome Powell. If you do, you have no idea what you're doing. Put your money in a Folgers can and put it in your yard. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. The Fed is absolutely not apolitical. Do you remember when who was the New York Fed chief? Timmy Geithner. Timmy. Little Timmy Geithner. Do you remember this? under Donald Trump. He was the New York Fed head and he left. During Trump's reelection campaign, he wrote like an op-ed, I don't know, New York Times or something. It's like the Fed needs to raise rates to screw Trump so he doesn't get reelected. Do you remember what happened? For the first time in the Fed's history, they put out a press release saying, first of all, the guy's a former Fed chief. He's not current. He doesn't speak for the Fed, and we are apolitical. Raise your hand if you remember this. It was a big stain on that the people with TDS cracked me up. But Timmy Geithner, the former, because the New York Fed is kind of even though there is a Federal Reserve chief, I'm my own prince of my kingdom. That was a big deal. I probably have that saved into my TGO bookmark favorites because that was a big one. Why am I rambling about this? Because they're blaming Trump, who's not in office, for what might happen for their failures. If I somehow snake some press credentials to go to the next Fed press conference on January 28th, I will light him up. But I'm not going to be allowed in there. We already covered this. Tight money, the Wall Street Journal already gave him enough grief. Jobs we already beat this week. We talked about scorching hot jobs. One more time, guys. Scorching hot jobs and inflation going up. The worst case scenario for the Fed. So on a day like today, I mean, look at, I'm a political science major. Look at what's going on. Big implosion, big explosion, bigger implosion, smaller explosion, really big, and then this. Anybody see a trend here? I do. All right, already talked about that. We already talked about this, University of Michigan. So inflation expectations. Remember, when it comes to inflation, folks, it's a self-licking ice cream cone. When people think inflation is hot, it gets hotter. It's a self-licking ice cream cone. That's also going to happen. You got people on Wall Street, stupid people, celebrating 2.9% inflation today, when I guarantee you the average person sees that inflation print and goes, oh, that's just great. Oh, and gas is soaring? That's super. Less groceries this week. We beat this dead horse. Trump inherits the damaged economy. He is, but Jerome Powell and Joe Biden and Kamala are telling him everything's great. And if things start failing, it's because you suck, Donald. I can tell you what's going to happen for the next year. I'll write the headlines today, and they will all come true. Dan Niles says, hey, man, if inflation reignites, read those three words. If inflation reignites. If inflation reignites. If inflation reignites. What is your definition of reignite? It's on the screen. Now, we were just treated, not just, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we were treated to what? Transitory, transitory, transitory. Inflation's transitory. What's your definition of transitory? Well, it turned out to be 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know what transitory means, it's that. So when Dan Niles says inflation, if it reignites, it already has, folks. Do you remember very sad incident, the Maui fire? They put out they put out that one fire, and holy shit, we got another call, but we usually leave a reflash watch in case what happens. It reflashes, and that's how the Maui fires really got going. So when Dan Niles says, hey man, if inflation reignites, we're going to have a market sell-off of 20%. Okay. All right. And finally, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs post surging profits. Why? Activity on Wall Street. One more time, I'm going to tell you, when things are bad, when in doubt, well, I told you this earlier in the week. The money has to go somewhere. So if Dan Niles and me are correct, when in doubt, run the Ma. For tech, Microsoft and Amazon. You can't go wrong being long-term bullish on Microsoft and Amazon, period. If you just did synthetic stock on those two names and never looked at them again and did them every couple of years when the next options come out, you'd be rich, period. I've done that and I'm rich. I'm rich in the soul. Who cares It'll be easier for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. I'm rich in life. These guys are the run to ma for financials. Why? Because if, like I just said, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup are getting hit because they're mom and pop, these guys and gals are usually printing money. Okay? Does everybody understand that? They have incredible trading arms. I was really good buddies with the GSAM head in Chicago, Goldman Sachs Asset Management. A lot of big stocks. We did a lot of business with GSAM in Chicago. I know these guys. All right, let's get tactical. Sam, you ready? Now we can get tactical. Now that I've done what I do in my brief. Jan, what's your question? What to do with Amazon synthetic stock now? What do you mean? Nothing. If you own it. When's your expiration, Jan? Oh, and by the way, when did we do synthetic stock this week? Where's all my new folks? Did you put on synthetic stock on Monday on Amazon? How many of you freebies in this room put on synthetic stock on Amazon on Monday? How many of you should buy me a bottle? Well, I don't drink anymore. How many of you should say thank you? You did synthetic stock at 215. You're welcome. You are printing money. Now, warning, Will Robinson. I didn't do the 220 calls, folks. I did, I'll show you my position. Men lie, trades don't. If you did the 220s, it's Wednesday. You know what? Learning is occurring. Let's take our time and talk through this. So look at my Amazon synthetic stock. I did to Friday the 222.5 calls. They're a little underwater because it's at 225, 222.25. It's up 2% today. I think we're probably going to give some of this rally back. So I'm not touching these. Okay. I personally am not touching my 222.5 calls at the Friday. Let me close the chart a little bit. I mean, it's already starting to come in. 220 is down here. Okay, let me give you a safety brief. I gave it to you Monday. I'm being a good instructor right now. Do not let these 220 calls close in the money, meaning Amazon's above 220. If you let Amazon close above 220, you will wake up Saturday morning in your bunny slippers, drink some coffee, and you're going to go, whoa, I have negative 100 shares of Amazon in my account. Does everybody understand me? So for all the new people, I'm really going to help you out right now. There are a couple things you can do. Let me go back to my position and pretend these are the 220s right now. They're not. I could adjust today and roll them up for Friday. So you would roll your 220s up to mine that I have right now, to the 222.5. That's if you think Amazon is going to stay up here and not go back down to 220. Wiz, I think Amazon's going to fade. You're right. The market's not going to stay happy with raging inflation. I think it's going to come down, but it might not be by Friday, maybe by next Friday. You could roll those calls out to next Friday. Okay? Or you could do both of those things. You know what, Wiz? I'm going to roll my 220s up to the 225.5s out the next Friday. It's called rolling them up and out. Any questions on that? But what I am telling you not to do, well, I'm not telling you to do anything. You're the trader in command. I do not let them expire in the money because you'll be short shares. Steven, I'm going to share this with the crowd because you're doing a good wingman job of giving people mutual support. Let's look at what Steven just wrote in the chat box. Wiz, FYI, I had Amazon calls that were $3 out of the money on expiration, and I got a sign. So I know what you mean, but let's keep our language clean. I'm a sailor. The other person exercised them. You got a sign, but I get what you're saying. I was short the 200 share. I was short 200 shares on Monday. Steven, that probably worked out for you though, didn't it? I don't want to tell people this, but it probably worked out for you because Amazon went down, didn't it? and you probably got out for a little bit of a profit. I will tell you, I got to be honest with you folks. God takes care of fools, drunks, and sailors. There was one day, I think it was a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. I do my podcast at noon on Fridays, and Amazon was, I had short calls that were like, they were right on the border that whole time, that whole day. I'm like, okay, I put in an order to close. I'm like, well, God forbid it goes up a little bit. I'll get hit and I'll be fine. I didn't look at anything, man. I failed. When your instructor fails, he or she better be honest with you. I failed because I completely forgot. I stayed at the podcast studio Friday, forgot about everything. Saturday morning, bunny slippers. I was short I trading a larger portfolio, 6,000 shares. I was short Amazon. Holy shit. God takes care of fools, drunks, and sailors. Not a drunk anymore. Still a fool. Always a sailor. Amazon at the opening, I was on the phone at like 6 in the morning talking to E-Trade. I'm like, at the well, futures were red. I'm like, oh, pre-market Amazon was down. Amazon opened, went down, whatever, a little bit. I closed those shares and I made about $8,000. What happened about 5 minutes later? Amazon turned around and ripped and went X amount higher. If I had not, thank you God, done that, I think I would have lost 50 grand that day. Learn from my stupidity. I'm glad we're talking about this. Does anybody have any questions about that? Vic, I don't like to roll for a debit, so I rolled it out and up for a couple weeks. Good for you, Vic. I like how you fly and fight your airplane. Amazon's already given back this opening pop, so is the S&P 500. And look at the SPX, man. Now we're gonna, shit. So I sold a bear call spread up here, and look at where we're hovering, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost like I do this for a living. We opened at a 25. It's hovering between 50 and 25. Now we're in a 25 range. Me, I think we're going to fade the rest of the day. But so I have a bear call spread on. If you logged in early, you saw me shoot that bear call spread. And we are getting theta every second that goes on. I did the 59.50, 59.55 bear call spread. And every second that goes by, I get theta. Okay. Now, I was going to ask you what you want to do, but to be honest with you, I don't care. I was going to say, hey, do you want to cover a bullish double vertical now, since we were talking about dog fighting? And I'm actually going to say no, because me personally, I would not do a bullish double vertical right now. So I'm not going to waste your time. If you want to see a bullish double vertical, I'm going to turn into a salesman. You got to join. I'll do one, I'll send one out as a trade alert maybe, but I'm also going to tell you, I would absolutely not do a bullish double vertical. I would not dogfight. You could if you want, but I'm not gonna do that. Thanks, Wiz. Got it up 40%. Good for you. Okay. I want to move over to an area. I'm gonna go super quick with defense. Raytheon. I've been trading Raytheon. A lot of you have a long-term bullish synthetic stock in the name. Let's just look at a nice chart here. We've been doing iron condors on Raytheon, and we've been doing some good work here. What's the earnings? The 28th. So we should see Raytheon kind of channel into earnings. I will tell you, the last earnings was right here. Look at this. It had a nice run up in the earnings, and then what did it do? I put on a synthetic stock somewhere in here. I forget when it was. This earnings, folks, this is, I have to debrief this because this was, it's not funny, but it's just interesting. This earnings was when Raytheon swung to a profit and they raised their forward guidance. Even if you're brand new to investing, you probably know that, wait a minute, they reported a nice profit for the first time in a while, and the CEO said, hey, and the future's looking great. I'm going to buy that stock. 99.9% of the time, you'd be right. But with Raytheon, it did this. Why? I will tell you why, because right here, Donald J. Trump got, do you say reelected? No, he got elected president. He didn't get reelected because he lost reelection. Or if you ask him, he didn't. Just like Stacey Abrams thinks she's the governor of Georgia, right? The other side is the only one that does election denying. You remember Nancy Pelosi's tweet? Donald Trump is an illegitimate president and I need more scotch. The Russians interfered in the election. He's not the president. Oh, so if you deny election, Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader of the House, is the, I've seen a tape of 10 minutes of him denying the election. Anyway, so the election. Why did Raytheon go down after Donald Trump won re-election? Because he told us, we're done with foreign wars. I'm going to end Ukraine in 24 hours. You're an idiot if you believe the guy. What did the one reporter say? He's like, don't take Trump literally, take him. Wait a minute. Somebody Google that phrase that the reporter coined years ago, and it's perfect. Take him literally, but not something. Somebody find that quote. Here's what I'm getting at. He's not ending the Ukraine war in 24 hours. Mike Waltz already got on the Sunday talk shows and infuriated me by saying we're going to force Zelensky to recruit 18-year-olds to go die. What? Is that what it is, David? Take Trump literally, but not seriously. Or serious, that's what it is. Take Trump literally, but not serious, whatever. I know what you're getting at. I'm wrong. Let's go here. Raytheon will be okay for the next fill in the blank. Pete Hegseth, his first brief as Secretary of Defense is going to be a nightmare. Okay, what's the status of our supplies, our weapons inventory? We're out. What? Yeah. We haven't been able to tell anybody publicly, but we have no weapons. Israel's got them. Ukraine's got them. We could last 2 weeks in the Pacific versus China. Holy shit. I promise you this is going to happen. I promise you Donald J. Trump's going to go to a Pentagon meeting with Pete and go, Mr. President, we're out of weapons. And he's going to go to the microphone and do what he does all the time. I was handed a shit sandwich. We're out of weapons, just like I got it from Obama. I'm going to have to rebuild the military. Nobody rebuilds the military better than me, believe me. So Raytheon will be okay for a couple years. And I also told you at the beginning of this brief, what? China, Taiwan. Let me point out another failure to you right here. This, sadly, was October 8th of 2023. New Wiz, Healed Wiz, was literally crying that day for the horror that occurred. Women getting raped and stabbed at a music festival, and people, what an absolute horror. I don't care how you feel about Palestine. It was a horrific terrorist attack. Based on the amount of civilians in Israel, it was their 9/11. Why am I rambling about this? Because old Wiz, unhealed Wiz, was Gordon Gekko. On October 8th at the opening bell, I would have bought every defense contractor stock with both hands. I didn't. Why am I bringing this up? Because if you had bought Raytheon on October 8th, you would have made 140% until that earnings when it gave some back. I will teach you. I'll do better than that. No, it was, what was that? I'm sorry, 140%. I doubled that. That was wrong. I'm sorry. It was only a 73% gain in the stock. This is why, Sam, I start with a strategic brief. The next time in a strategic brief, I say October 8th, I was weeping. I wasn't thinking buy the defense stocks, but you need to learn these things. Whenever I see breaking news on something, I'm wired to go, what stocks are involved? Either good or bad. Now, enough rambling. You could, it's up to you, do a long-term bullish trade on Raytheon if you wanted to. You could go, out to Jan 27, go watch the solo Amazon replay, copy paste on how to do it. Okay. We have one in our accelerated retirement model portfolio, but let's trade the front month. We got a nice pop. I think we're gonna rise or at least hang going into earnings, which are when again? God, having a Biden. 28th. We could let's do a week and a half trade on this. You could go out, you know what? 24th. I was going to go out and tell you I wouldn't hold the trade through earnings, but let's just go a week and a half for the 24th. So the at the money straddle is 330, which is 660. Let's go look at the options market. They're saying the bottom is down there at 115, the top is at 122. Okay. 115 is down there. I'm going to go up to 116 because we're probably going to need some premium, right? Let's see if it's worth it. Nope. There's not enough premium in this. So let me show. So this is good instruction here. I do not do credit spreads under a 1.22 risk to reward. So let's go look in the other direction because I was going to look at an iron condor. What was the top? 122. Let's go look at the chart real quick. So the top of the range is one. Let's go see if a bear call spread. Because again, I'm thinking this pop's going to fade. That's my opinion. Could be wrong. Let's look at this one. Yes. Let me step through this trade. This is the trade I would do. When, not if, we kind of give this rally back. Raytheon isn't participating in this today anyway. Raytheon's going to come back in. Bear call spread's going to make money. Then we might have some premium in a bull put spread. And I will show you a tactic called an iron condor. It's a range bound trade. It's simply two spreads facing each other. With an iron condor, you put a roof on it and you put a basement on it. And the stock can move anywhere in here as long as it doesn't go through the roof or through the basement. You make money. If you're just trading stock, you don't make any money if the stock's moving sideways. As an options trader, we do. So I'm going to do a bear call spread. I'm going to sell a single Jan 24 121 call. That's me saying I don't think Raytheon's going to go above the top of this range. Let me move this ticket out of the way. Over here, right around there. Well, Wiz, what if you're wrong? Rarely happens. I'm going to buy an upside call to 122, right? And Raytheon's starting to give even more back as the S&P's coming down. Should have fired the trade. 26 cents. What did I teach you yesterday? Double that. Double that. You write down on your trade plan 52. Maybe eject out of this trade at 52 cents. We haven't even placed it yet. I told you when I might get out for minimum loss. I don't ever want to take a max loss in a trade. So I write down the point before I place it where I would maybe eject. RTX 115, I'm going to grab a screenshot. Now, as soon as I click on analyze, the first place our eyes go is right there. Max potential loss. Don't ever look up here if you're not willing to risk that. Ever. Years ago when John and Pete Najarian owned this stuff, I'm like, dude, switch the faces. The first face should be the sad face. You shouldn't go on to a happy face if you're not okay with the sad. They're big football players, so I ignored them. Okay. So anyway, yeah, exactly, Kevin. I remember that. Okay, so right there, put a check mark next to the 74 bucks. I acknowledge that risk whiz. Now I can look at the max profit. Using current at the money volatility in the options, there's a 70 or 67% probability of the max profit. How do we make money in a bear call spread? 3 ways. Raytheon goes down, it stays where it is, or it goes up a little bit. Wait, in a bear call spread, I can make money if it goes up? Yeah, as long as it stays below that point, which is the break even. Okay, let me grab a screenshot of this so we can, oh wait, sorry, screen's not updating. Oh, wrong button, sorry. There's the dotted line, it goes down, it hovers or goes up, stays below the break even, sorry. All right, let me grab a screenshot. I will put this, send this alert out right now to the hunters. Then we got to talk psychedelics, man. The only, well, financials and tech, the only thing that's going to survive, RTX 115, a 20% downturn in this market is Robert Kennedy making America healthy again. All right, so I sent that trade. I got filled. Raytheon is airborne. Let me send out an alert. And I will most likely leg into an iron condor with Raytheon. New RTX bear call spread looking to leg into a pre-earnings iron condor. If you don't know what an iron condor is, folks, Options Weapon School session 5. Gonna add the images of the trade. This is so much better than the old text alerts, folks. You just got like a line of text. Now you're getting the damn image. You get, technology is awesome. Check it out. There's the trade. There's the risk metrics. I'm in the right thread, which is trade alerts, RTX bear call spread, boom, fire. Everybody gets an alert right now. If you're in the hunters or lifetime, if you're in the 295 monthly, you do not. New RTX bear call spread looking to leg into a pre-earnings iron condor. Trade alert thread, fix my spelling error, grab the images, just got my alert. They added me. I wasn't getting alerts before, folks, because I wasn't, they're like, if you're sending the alert out, why do you need it? I'm like, okay, booger eaters, I want to see what the customers are getting. Put me in there as a customer. Oh, good idea. Wow, Tony, I'm going to share this one, my brother. Thank you for this. So let me show you what Tony just said. Wanted to thank you again on your 1 month out financial stock advice from years ago. Just made $2,000 on my Goldman Sachs trade from a few weeks ago. 3rd quarter in a row paid off. I'm saving that. Love that. Everybody give Tony a golf clap, because Tony's a guy who's been a member for a while, who listens. He put a calendar reminder in his phone like I told him to. 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks. Tony, what's your calendar reminder? Please tell us. Goldman Sachs, Tony, 2K. So folks, Tony just made $2 grand, which, and your annual membership is $29.95. One trade, folks, with Tony on Goldman Sachs. I love it. Okay, now, and again, I don't want to go too long, man, so I am going to rip. 3 weeks out is the sweet spot for me. So ladies and gentlemen, listen to Tony, who listened to me. 3 weeks before quarterly financial earnings, buy financials, question mark. Why question mark? Because you might not, because the market's in a bear market and just everything sucks. It's not a hard, fast rule. It's a nice warning light in your cockpit, like, hey, we're 3 weeks out from financial earnings. Take a look. Mid-November, buy Amazon, question mark. I'd almost delete the question mark because that's almost cash money, but put the question mark on. Okay. Psychedelics. ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be brief. I'm going to ripple through the names I would buy today. I'm going to start with that. Let's just do this. Write these down right now. MNMD. Mind Med up 6% today. MNMD. Write that down. MNMD. Mind Medicine. Atai. ATAI up 10% today. Atai. ATAI. MindMed. Atai. Cybin. Up 6% today. Look at the 3-day run in Cybin here. Up 6% today. Cybin. Buy Cybin with both hands. And finally, last and maybe least, Compass. CMPS. Compass. Make your own little ETF. If you don't want to make your own little ETF, there is an ETF for psychedelic stocks called SIL. PSIL. It's the Advisor Shares Psychedelics ETF. Okay. I came to a live trade brief and I didn't think I was going to find out about psychedelics. Then you clearly, these literally are your first briefs, folks. So I run the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. 3.5 years ago, I started a foundation to try and end veteran suicide. How do you keep a veteran from killing themselves? I had no clue. I just lost my groomsman in my wedding, Captain Eric Swenson, Marine Hornet pilot. Beautiful bride and 5 kids, gone. I was like, what? That was my third F-18 brother, another Marine, and then a Navy LSO. I looked at my bride and I said, let's start a foundation. We had just made $2.5 million in about 2.5 weeks. How? The COVID crash. Somebody knew what they were doing. Stocks are looking good here. I'd be a buyer of stocks. Okay, Donald, the market just went down 3,000 points. I made 75 grand on puts that morning. Thanks, Mr. President. So I started a foundation. No idea. Buy a suit, help a veteran with their rent, resume service, I don't know. That's when a buddy of mine's like, hey, there's a group of Navy SEALs and Special Forces guys that go down to Mexico and they do psychedelic assisted therapy to heal their trauma. There's a really cool group going in a couple, couple months or a couple weeks. Would you like to go? And I'm like, dude, go to Mexico and do drugs with Navy SEALs? That sounds like a great weekend, man. Sign me up. I had no idea what I was in for. I'll give you the cliff notes. It saved and changed my life. I've landed at night aboard a pitching aircraft carrier flight deck in the middle of the Pacific, thousands of miles from land, low on fuel. That was one of the easiest things I've ever done in my life compared to a 12 to 14 hour ibogaine journey. It was not fun. It was not recreational. It sucked. It saved and changed my life. It healed decades of trauma. Did anybody see the most recent Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan, Rick Perry. This one that he just did on ibogaine, you got to watch this, folks. So Rick Perry steals my line. He's like, man, Joe, five years ago, Rick Perry running for president or, Secretary of Energy. If I heard me talking about legalized psychedelics, I'd kick my own ass. I'm like, dude, that's my line. So this is, if you want to know about ibogaine and in depth on ibogaine, and Rick Perry's like, dude, I'm the most conservative anti-drug guy on the face of the planet. Ibogaine needs to be legal, at least for our veterans, the healing power. So the medicine I sat with is called ibogaine. Short story long, there are publicly traded psychedelic companies. I just gave you the 4 that are really, really on the forefront. Let me go show you this wheel real quick. Psychedelic pipeline. They need to update this one. But look at this. This is the bullseye. Psychedelic drug development tracker. Obviously, the closer you get to the bullseye, it's closer to approval, right? And the different medicines, MDMA, LSD, DMT, 5-MeO-DMT, ketamine, ibogaine over here. There's a tie sitting right there. And then other medicines. And then obviously up here, psilocybin. Okay, up here to the right, all these different companies. JD Vance, the vice president-elect, was on Rogan before the election. Rogan read him the riot act about veterans and psychedelics. And JD Vance is like, huh, I'm just finding out about this. Why isn't this legal? Well, they're Schedule I drugs. Well, he wasn't vice president-elect at that point, Senator Vance. He's like, they shouldn't be Schedule I drugs. Duh. The definition of a Schedule I drug is no therapeutic use and a high risk of addiction. That's a cigarette and alcohol, you jerk. Ibogaine is anti-addictive. It destroyed alcohol in my life, and it was the most therapeutic thing I've done in my life. That's a felony, Wiz. Now smoke and go drink. So the vice president-elect of the United States said, we need to be doing this then. Yeah, we do. Secretary of Defense nominee, soon to be the Secretary of Defense, was on the Sean Ryan podcast recently. Sean Ryan, dude, ibogaine saved and changed my life. And Pete's like, I've never done it, but I've heard so many of my brothers and sisters doing it. Why isn't the VA doing something about it? Oh, and obviously, unless you live under a rock, you know Robert F. Kennedy. Make America healthy again. I don't agree with that guy on probably 70% of the stuff that he believes in, but guess what? If you've never seen this reel, don't watch it right now. I'm just going to give you the link to this reel. This will bring a tear to your eye. Robert F. Kennedy was asked about psychedelics. This was when he was running for president. This wasn't when he was the HHS nominee. And what did he say? He's like, I'm a recovering alcoholic and heroin addict. He's like, initially when I was, I'm like, I could not be more anti-psychedelic. Are you insane? I did heroin and alcohol, and I was a shit show. And then his wife checked out on her own, 2012. He lost his wife. One of his sons, he'll tell you in that little clip, he's like, and then my son was done too. I thought I was going to lose him. When he lost his mom, he was done. A buddy of his took him to Peru, and he did ayahuasca. And when my son came back, I got my son back. He's like, so I went from being the most anti to the most pro, just like Rick Perry. So that's my commit criteria, folks. I will warn you that all those names I just rippled off are Netscape, Pets.com, Google, and Amazon in 1999. You pick the right two, you're going to be rich. You pick the wrong two, you're going to be broke. All of those companies are doing phase 2, phase 3, this and that. They are burning through cash, trying to get shit done. I promise you, and I was talking to Cody about this yesterday. He's like, dude, you nailed this, man. He's like, I can't tell you some things, but you're keep firing when you say these things. Here's what I was talking about. I'm like, dude, what about if you're sitting on the 12th floor of the Pfizer headquarters, literally smoking your cigar, counting your wads of cash, and you're reading about MindMed has a psychedelic, but a drug. It's a medicine called MM120. With a single dose, 4 weeks after that single dose, people diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, 40 million Americans, are clinically healed. You know what you do if you're the CEO? You go, get me the CFO on the line and tell him to bring his checkbook. And I don't want this to happen. I want this to happen as a trader. I don't want this to happen as Wiz, but it will happen. They are going to come in and scoop all these publicly traded psychedelic companies up. And trust me, I know Christian Angermeyer, the CEO of Atai. I know these guys. They can't. It's actually illegal. Hey, Pfizer's on line 1. They're buying us for $1 billion. No, we want to heal our heroes. It's illegal. As the CEO, you have a fiduciary duty to who? Me. I'm a shareholder. Sell this company. I tell people I'm bipolar, and so am I. I don't want that to happen as Wiz. I do want it to happen as Gordon Gekko Wiz. Do you understand me? So, but again, these are lottery tickets, man. I can be completely wrong. I'm a tripped out, newfound hippie, and you failed in all this. I won't care because I'm healed. And as of today, I think we're close to 100 veterans, first responders, and family members we've helped heal at No Fallen Heroes. Knock on wood. We haven't had a single person come back from a retreat and go, what a fucking waste, or I'm worse. Not one. So somebody tell me why you'd be bearish on this space. Well, I'll answer that question. Many of you know 2002, 2022, 2023, I went to DC a bunch of times. Hated it. Had to shower a couple times a day because it's gross. Walking the halls of Congress is filthy. But there was an appropriator, a Republican congressman from South Florida, who shall remain nameless, behind closed doors. Wiz, I love what you're doing. Healing our heroes. He looked around, he said, you're gonna have a problem. I'm like, whoa, big pharma and the alcohol and tobacco folks. And, you know, I'm like, the fuck, who you talking to, man? Isn't that your job? When you talk about, I'm gonna have a problem with them. So there is no money in healing for Pfizer and Moderna. What's Spravato, the nasal ketamine? It's got like a 12% effective rate. Did you see the seals in the Stanford study? Google the real estate symbol. I'll get to it in a second. Stanford ibogaine study. 80% of the seals, I think it's higher than that, 80% of the seals who were treated showed 0 signs of PTS. Not a percent, not 10%, not 50%. 100% healed. Here's the Stanford. This is Stanford, folks. It's not Boca Community College. Read this study. So, I could be wrong. Big pharma destroys everything. That is an absolute threat, folks. I'm telling you this. But at the end of the day, I really don't give a shit. There are several TGO members in this room who have gone and sat with the medicine. Kid works for our foundation now, part-time, Arrow, badass F-15 Strike Eagle lady, sat with the medicine, never been a better mom or a human being. I still shoot her down in her Eagle, though. Not the best fighter pilot in the world. Neither is Kid. Anyway, I mean, we also took an F-14 female, 7 deployment, saved and changed her life. She's a doctor. She's our chief medical officer. So that was way too long to give you all of my commit criteria, but I could be completely wrong. This whole space is going to implode and it was a fad and everything like that. It's not. But as your flight instructor, I've got to brief you on all of this stuff. Now, somebody just asked smartly, and look at SPX. What did I tell you it was going to do? Pop, hit the 25 and fade. We just got a little pop off the 25, but I said we're going to fade the rest of it. So if you put on the bear call, if you logged in early, you got a free bear call spread. For all the free people in the room, you got a free bear call spread that's making money right now. You're welcome. But let me give you, kind of like with Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is worth pixie dust. It's literally not worth a thing. It's worth what people are willing to buy it. I get it, folks. Just like a pet rock or a tulip. I don't trade the shit coin or whatever it's called. Trade the underlying, the blockchain, the chip technology. Trade the guts. Don't trade the fads, right? Publicly traded psychedelic stocks might be the fads. The underlying is this. Sabra, S-B-R-A. Look at Sabra. When was it? Why'd my line shift? It was back here. Since I told to buy Sabra, 46%. you've made in the stock. Whoa, Wiz, you're an options trader. Why'd you tell people to buy the stock? My mama don't raise no dummy, folks. 7% dividend. Ladies and gentlemen, buy Sabra. Buy Sabra. I haven't seen a stock with a 7% dividend in decades. Why Sabra? Because it's doing what I'm doing and other investors in the REIT are doing. It's the infrastructure. Where is my download? Right here. This is HRT. This is Healing Realty Trust. Okay. Cody said we have like, he's getting ready to close on another $40 million, a place in Jersey, and I think the other one was in Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot, when MM120 is approved, you're not going to your doctor's office sitting on wax paper, looking at a National Geographic from 20 years ago. These medicines are going to have to be delivered in a nice, beautiful room with a bed and a couple chairs and its own bathroom and cameras. And the infrastructure does not exist for what is coming. If you remember decades ago, there were no urgent cares. There were no dialysis centers. I live blocks away from the Boca Hospital. The campus has exploded. My cardiologist, my this, my that, nobody goes to the hospital, God forbid. So Sabra is copying what we're doing with HRT, Healing Realty Trust. If you want this deck, I can send it to you. I think Cody is going to come do a presentation because I think they are going to, because a lot of people have bitched and complained that they didn't get in. So we'll talk about it. And then obviously this is a good thing. We are all in the family here. There's my sister. She's the underachiever of the family. She was a partner at Dune Capital. She runs with Dan Nidek, who ran Goldman Sachs. She was also partners with Steve Mnuchin, who became the Treasury Secretary. Steve Mnuchin was also a partner of my sister's at Dune Capital. And then, of course, they sneak me in down here. So, folks, this is an example of buying the infrastructure of what is coming. Karen, Karen just asked a great question. Are they going to buy Daniel's place in Oregon? Would it make sense? I'll answer it like that, Karen. Would it make sense to have a property like that in the portfolio? So I'm not, you didn't hear it from me. I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying, as a normal human being, do you think that would be a property to have in their portfolio? Another good one is AHR, American Healthcare REIT. Look at this one, folks. It went public in February of last year at $10. It went to $30. Not saying that's going to happen with HRT, but if it does, you will see me on my own aircraft carrier in Palm Beach. This is my retirement, folks, is the HRT investment. So, but this is another one. Sabra, AHR, and HRT are leading in this space. And I will tell you that if you're, what is it, American, what are the big healthcare, or I'm sorry, the big REITs? I can tell you that there are a lot of big REITs who are going, what are you all doing down here? Kind of like I just said is going on in the psychedelic sector. Like all the big pharma companies are like, what's going on in the Wild West out here? Oh yeah, buy them. There are massive REITs out there that are going, scoop. Then Cody actually said that too. He's like, dude, we might go public. That's the 2-week window we're scheduled to go public. He's like, we've been having some big meetings with people, and they sign NDAs and stuff. He's like, dude, like you had a top secret clearance. I can't. I'm like, dude, I don't want to know. But he's like, there's a lot of poking around going on right now. Okay, so It's all good, Karen. Welcome back. So anyway, you probably didn't expect to come to a series of free trade briefs to talk about psychedelics, but that's exactly how the universe works. You should be in a brief talking about psychedelics because you are here to do it. Okay. All right. Questions. How's our bear call spread looking? How's SPX looking? I told you it's going to do this, man. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. SPX is fading. I think we're due for a good leg down here. 5,900 is going to be a magnet, I think. We break 59.25, it's look out below. Okay. All right. And what's the trade at right now? So yeah, I mean, it's already making a little bit of money here. I got filled at $1.35. It's at $1.10 right now. So, if you did 15 contracts, you could almost pay for an annual membership here at TOPGUN Options. All right. So I'm done selling, man. Like I said, I started the brief with 11. I think there's about 8. There's 8 slots left. There's 8 full throttle slots. I see 3 receipts in there. So here you go. Let me give you the link one more time. We close, folks. Like I said, Solo Amazon, you can join it anytime. I don't limit the membership in Solo Amazon because it's the Battle of Britain. The unwashed masses in there. Let me give you that link too. Solo Amazon. One more time, I'm going to remind you, they're separate services. So you got to join. If you want to join both, you got to join both. Just about every person here at TGO is in both services. A lot of people start in Solo Amazon and hang out there for a while and then make a little bit of coin and then upgrade into the full throttle. John, you're not allowed to retire. You have too much value. John, I appreciate that. When I say retirement, I mean this. I'm one of those guys. You're right. I would never retire because I don't know what I would do with myself. Because I love this. I love the trading. I love being right. What did I just tell you? What did I just tell you the S&P was going to do? Exactly. There was just a massive red candle down just now. On my other screen, it looks better. There's a big red candle down. There we go, folks. So again, I started this brief by saying, hey, if you got in the bearish double vertical yesterday, are you a little bit upset? I think there's 1 or 2 people, and they were new folks. Everybody else is like, dude, absolutely not. I'm adding to it, blah, blah, blah. The market is not going, there it is, man. Burn, baby, burn. The market is not going to like 2.9% inflation. I guarantee you. Soon as I saw that print this morning, folks, look at me. When I do something like this, sell into this pop. Look at that. Look at the S&P burn. All right, folks, if you don't want to join after this, after I showed you live trades, after I'm showing you live profits, I'm done selling. I don't know what else to tell you. Any other questions? That's why they call you the Wiz. I appreciate that, Jan. Benoit, I added to the double vertical at 40 cents. That's my man. That's what you should have done this morning. If you weren't in the double vertical, you should have gotten into it. If you were in it, you should have added to it. You're absolutely right, my brother. So, awesome. Good. You're welcome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll give you this is our channel. Let me go listen to the Rogan episode on Ibogaine, folks. I've heard this before from Rick Perry. This one was one of his best when he talks about Ibogaine. Remember, and I forgot to tell you, so I went to, on my first healing journey with Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor. Marcus Luttrell literally knocked on the governor's door of the governor's mansion and asked for help. And he lived with Rick Perry for 2 years. He's like, I've seen this guy turn into a different human being. And his brother, Morgan Luttrell, Navy SEAL, is now a congressman. So send us the psychedelic wheel in the chat. Yeah, I can give that to you. It's old. Go to Psychedelic Alpha and see if there's an updated one. This is my bookmark. There might be another one, but I'll give you this one. Woo. I'll give you this one, but they should have done a 2024, and we're in 2025. There you go. Take some time, folks, to go through this wheel and look into some of these companies. A lot of them are private, but a lot of, some of them are public. There's Cybin we talked about, Atai's over here. but there are some other, private companies in here as well. So cool. Yep, you're welcome, man. So all right, good. So somebody shot a sniper just as the market topped there. Thank you for your guidance, Wiz. You are welcome, my brother. Any other questions, concerns, or oh, by the ways? Reminder, the market is closed on Monday for Martin Luther King's, is his birthday? Not his death date, right? His birthday. I would love, man, if Dr. King's dreams could come true, right? If we could judge somebody by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. I love Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman, and then the Penn State coach. They're like, how's it feel to be the first 2 African-American? He's like, I'm a coach, man. Why are you bringing up my race? It's the screaming liberal white women like in the Senate yesterday. They're the problems in this country, folks. They're the ones who, did you see Hispanics and African-Americans who voted for Trump? It went up. They're sick of being taken advantage of and used as a punching bag. This ain't the 50s, folks. There's always going to be work to do, and there will always be racists in the world. You ain't going to stamp that out. And I love how, what's his name? I can't stand Bill Maher, but he's like, all right, enough. This ain't the 50s, man. There's always work to do, but it ain't as bad as some of you people are talking. Thanks, Wiz. You're the best. I appreciate that, Rick. So anyway, awesome. I'm done. You got the links. I'm done selling. I shouldn't even have to sell. It sold itself. If you go to any financial brief and they sit there and do 20,000 PowerPoint slides and they show a bunch of old trades, like, hey, look at all these trades. I don't give a shit of what your old trades are. What are you doing right now? Show me what you're doing right now and show me doing it with your real money. Any other questions? I just opened up the doors for 3 days for free, and you got to see what we're doing. And I'm so glad the CPI came in line, and you got to experience some learning. Because I guarantee you a lot of people today are doing what? Wait, the market rallied? The all clear sounded. And they're walking into a trap. I guarantee you. We've done this when the inflation was going up that whole time. Like the market, let me real quick before we go. The day before the highest inflation in 40 years, something leaked. It said 10.1% inflation. Oh my God, the market imploded. The next morning, you know what the print was? 9.1%. The futures went up 800 points. I was leaving yoga. I'm driving with my knees saying, sell into this pop. Sell everything into this pop. Why? Instead of 10.1%, we only have 9.1% inflation. The same exact thing happened that is happening today. Rip your face off rally, and then people went, oh my God, that's actually horrific news. 9.1%. Well, it wasn't 10.1 yet. That was the pop and then the drop. So you got to see us dogfighting the market live. I would not do a bullish double vertical right now. That ship has sailed. And I'm done. I got to go. This went way too long. Any other questions? You can shoot me an email, wiz@topgunoptions.com. Don't forget, I ain't here. Susie and I are going to San Antonio to see our boy graduate from, I can't believe I have a family member in the Air Force shoot me, from Air Force basic training. All right, guys, I got to go. I'll get the replay posted on the replay page here, and obviously the member pages. All my members, I post all that stuff on the member page. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Did I send out the Raytheon? I did. I sent out the Raytheon trade. No, I'm good. All right, I got to go. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged. We are. Fights on. Namaste. And basi basi. Go Irish, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.